Hello and welcome again to this video where we will talk about the first question of the EAL final exam, or what we call in the SACE program the external examination for EAL stage 2. So before we start, I want to direct you to a really important document that we can find on the SACE website. I mentioned this document in one of my earlier videos, and this document is the subject assessment advice. Now, there is a subject assessment advice for every SACE subject. For EAL, we find this document if you just go to the page for EAL, click on resources, then go to stage 2, subject assessment advice, and you can download them and read them. They really have a lot of useful advice that students can benefit from. Also, teachers can learn from, so they know how to prepare not just for final exams but also for school assessments. So I highly, and I'll say it one more time, highly recommend that you download and read and study the subject assessment advice. It is probably the most important document you can find on the SACE website when it comes to the final examination and also school assessments. So let's now take a very quick look at the 2022 and the 2023 final exam for EAL. And like I said, in this video, we will only focus on question 1. I will be making more videos to specifically discuss questions 2, 3, and 4. But for now, question 1 is a listening comprehension question. So there is a listening text and a bunch of questions that we have to answer, and all the information comes and should come from the listening texts. Now, what we need to know about the listening text is that we can only listen to it twice. And you as a student, you can decide when to start the listening text, and you can also decide how much of a gap you need between the first listening and the first play and the second play. All of these are decisions that you can make, but I will only give you 2 pieces of advice. The first one is please be mindful of the time. Do not wait for too long before playing the first play, and don't give yourself a colossal gap between the first play and the second play. You should, for example, for this section, what you need to do, and that coming to the second piece of advice here, is the first thing you do is you read the questions. You make sure that you understand all the questions. And if by any chance there are some words that you don't understand, use the dictionary tool that you have on the SEB. And let's say, for example, you don't know what departure is. So again, we just use the dictionary tool, understand what it means, and do the same thing for all the questions. This should take you, I would say, 3 to 4 minutes. Once you complete reading all the questions and once you make sure that you know what kind of information you should be looking for, then you hit the play button for the first time, listen, take notes, answer at the same time. And when you answer and when you take notes, of course, absolutely you can use the scribble paper tool that you have on the SEB, but you don't really have to, because you can type in your answers in the answer box as you go. And it's okay if you make mistakes, because you can always edit what you write. You can delete, you can edit, you can add new words. So as you are listening, you are also taking notes and answering at the same time. Once the first play ends, give yourself a minute or 2 minutes maximum to review your answers, read the questions again, and for questions that you will not be able to answer in the first play, read them again, make sure that you understand, try to use your memory and recall what the answer was, and only then hit the play button for the second time. Then go again, complete and review and re-edit your answers. Make sure that you fill in if there are any gaps or any words that you missed during the first play, and just make sure that you have all of your answers ready and correct. And once the second play ends, then you only give yourself 2 or 3 minutes to do a general revision and double check, triple check, maybe even quadruple check. Just don't stay too long. Don't spend too much time in this section. So between the reading time at the beginning, the first play, the second play, and the revision time, you shouldn't spend more than 15 minutes here. And you can keep track of the time using the timer. Now, it's okay if you spend more than 15 minutes. That's not the end of, the world, but just generally speaking, so you manage your time wisely, make sure that you can do this within 15 minutes. And by the way, you don't have to wait till the exam day till you find out. We have these exams on the SACE website. You can access them. So you can now go actually and give this a try. Go ahead. Give yourself 15 minutes and see if you can do this or not. Maybe 15 minutes for some people is too much time and they can do it in less. Maybe for some people it's too little time and they need more time. And that's fine, because the beauty of the online examination, the electronic examination, is you decide what to do and when to do it and how much time you allocate for each task. So the only advice I can give you as a teacher is to be mindful of the time, be mindful that you still have question 2, 3, and 4 that you need to go through. So again, when we take a look at the other exam, the 2022, so obviously it's a different exam. They're not the same kind of questions, but the design of the examination is identical. There is also a listening text that you can only listen to it twice, and you have a number of questions that you need to answer. So let's now go to the subject assessment advice and see what advice SACE examiners and moderators have written for us for this examination. We will start first by looking at the 2022 subject assessment advice. Now, all of this here is really, really useful for both teachers and students, but I will only focus on a few ideas that I believe are the most important. And the first one of which is this one: don't waste time including unnecessary information. When we take the exam, you always keep an eye on what does the question says. So the question says list 3 ways, so we only write 3 ways, we don't write more. The listening itself, the listening text, might include 5 different ways or 6, and oftentimes the listening text includes more information than what the questions is actually asking for. But you only write what you need to write and nothing more. You don't need to include extra definitions. You don't need to add additional clarification. You just respond to the question the way the question wants you to respond without any additions. And this is why they say here that we shouldn't waste time including unnecessary information. And yes, unnecessary information is something that you should avoid in exams, because it wastes time, but it also wastes energy. Keep in mind, this is a very long exam. This exam is 2 hours and 40 minutes. You will be tired. You will feel fatigued. And this is why it's really important that you preserve your energy during the examination. And one of the best ways to preserve your energy is to avoid doing things that you don't need to do. So that's the first piece of advice. The second one is when there are too many typing errors, these errors, they can impact the meaning and therefore they can impact the grade. Which is why you have to be very careful with spelling and very careful with your grammar. Make sure that you spell words correctly. Make sure that you use accurate and correct grammar in your answers, which is why you have to review and double check. And just in case maybe you forgot how to spell a word, and if you have enough time, you can always use the dictionary, because that sometimes can help you spell as well. It doesn't always work. It's not an easy tool to use to recall how to spell certain words, but who knows, maybe it can help you on the exam. So it's something that you can definitely use to your advantage if time allows, and if time allows only. All right, so now let's go to the 2024 subject assessment advice, because in this one there is even more advice. So the first thing they say here is that students should answer the questions using information from the text. This is really important because this exam is listening comprehension. It is not a general knowledge exam. We see this clearly in the 2022 exam. Question A, for example, is what is animal migration? Now, for most students, they probably already know what animal migration is, let alone students who study subjects like biology. And if you already know the definition of animal migration, you shouldn't just go and write the definition. You will be taking a very big risk, because this question doesn't really ask you specifically what animal migration is. What it is asking you to do is asking you to write down what they say what animal migration is. So if they say that animal migration is the migration from animals from one place to the other, that is what you write down. If they say animal migration is when penguins, I don't know, take airplanes to go sell their ice creams in other parts of the world, then that's what we write down. It doesn't matter if it's factually correct or not. The only thing that matters is that it is information from the text. So in this section, we don't add our own ideas. We don't write what we already know. We don't add any additional commentary. We don't evaluate. We don't judge. We don't analyze. We simply write down what was said, and that's about it. So, and they also say that you have to follow the marking guide, that you need to check their work, and you have to edit their work to make sure that you didn't make any spelling mistakes or grammar mistakes at the end. Now, there is one last thing I want to add about this section, and it is about writing numbers and values. So we can also find this in the subject assessment advice. So for example, in the 2022 exam, they had this question, and the question said approximately how many kilometers does the following animals migrate each year? And this is obviously a number that you need to write down, and you can write down 40,000 kilometers as 40000, or you can spell it out as FORTYTHOUSAND. Both options are fine. I always say to the student, just write with numbers. You don't need to waste time trying to spell out, especially big numbers. But the SACE board is very clear, is that for them, you can write the answer in digits, you can spell it out, that is completely fine. All right, so if you want to make sure that you perform really well in the first question of the SACE exams, you have to follow the advice on the subject assessment advice. So, to sum up, make sure that you spell words correctly, make sure that you answer using information from the text, make sure that you don't over answer, you don't add additional information or write too much for each question, and make sure that you understand the questions correctly before you hit the play button. So, thank you very much for your time. I will see you again, well, you will see me again in a future video about question 2, and then question 3, and then question 4. Meanwhile, keep up the good work, and I wish you all the best of the best.